program is The Active Center. It's created by David Sappe.
Pronounced Seppi.
Pronounced Seppi.
Have you ever stopped to wonder why your phone might be designed in California, but put together halfway across the world in China? Or how Brazil manages to sell coffee to, well, pretty much everyone? It's all part of this massive, fascinating global puzzle. And today, we're going to start putting the pieces together. So let's kick things off with a question that seems almost too simple. Is it always best to be the absolute best at something? I mean, your first instinct is to say, of course, right? If you're the fastest, the most productive, you should be the one doing the job. But when it comes to global economics, the answer is, surprisingly, no. Let's dig into why. And that really gets us to the heart of the matter, this fundamental question that every single country has to wrestle with in the global economy. With only so many resources, so much time, and so many people, how do you decide who should make what? Solving this big production puzzle is really the key to understanding all of international trade. Okay, so to start cracking this puzzle, we need to get our heads around a core concept called absolute advantage. This is the idea that just kind of makes sense to all of us. It simply means one country can pump out more of a thing than any other country. More cars, more oil, more microchips. It's all about who can make the most, period. A lot of the time, absolute advantage just comes down to plain old geographic luck. Think about Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. They happen to be sitting on top of gigantic oil reserves. When a country has that kind of leg up, the most logical thing to do is to specialize, go all in, and produce as much of that one thing as you possibly can. But here's where it starts to get a little more interesting. Because just being the best at producing something, well, that isn't the whole story. The global economic puzzle is way more nuanced than that. And that leads us to a real mind-bender. What if a single country has an absolute advantage in making everything? Cars, clothes, computers, you name it. They're the best. Should they just build a wall and become totally self-sufficient? I mean, why not? They're the best at it. The problem is, no country, not one, has unlimited resources or workers. And that means you have to make choices. And this, right here, is where we find the real secret to global trade. It turns out it's not just about how much you can make, it's about understanding the true cost of every single choice you make. This brings us to the hero of our story, a concept called opportunity cost. It's basically the value of whatever you give up to do something else. Think about it like this. Let's say a brilliant surgeon is also, somehow, the fastest typist in the entire hospital. Should she spend her day typing up patient notes? Absolutely not. Every hour she spends typing is an hour she's not performing life-saving surgery. That lost surgery, that is the opportunity cost. So this forces us to totally flip our thinking on its head. The really smart economic question isn't who can produce the most, it's who has the lowest opportunity cost, or to put it another way, who gives up the least amount of value to make something. This one shift in perspective changes the entire economic game. And this powerful idea has a name: comparative advantage. It's not about being the best in terms of raw numbers. It's all about being the most efficient, specializing in what you can make while sacrificing the least. Let's see how this plays out in the real world. Take vehicle manufacturing. The US might have superior technology that lets it make more cars per hour. That's an absolute advantage. But if labor costs in Mexico are way, way lower, Mexico could actually have the comparative advantage. Why? Because it gives up less economic value to produce each car, which makes its production overall more efficient. This table here really lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got absolute advantage. That's a brute force game. It's all about being the best, driven by things like resources and scale. But comparative advantage, that's a strategy game. It's focused on efficiency, and it's driven by having lower opportunity costs. One gets you high volume, sure, but the other leads to a much smarter, optimal use of the entire world's resources. So, how does all this strategic thinking actually make the world a better place for everyone? Let's walk through a quick, practical example and see how it really does create a win-win scenario. Okay, imagine we have 3 countries. With the exact same amount of resources, country A can make 50 units of something. Country B can make 75. And country C, well, it can make a whopping 150 units. Clearly, country C has the absolute advantage. I mean, it's not even a contest. Which brings us right back to our big, tricky question. Why on earth would country C bother trading with country A or country B? Why wouldn't it just dominate the market and make everything it needs all by itself? The answer, of course, is comparative advantage. The winning strategy looks like this. Country C specializes only in the thing it's massively better at, and it doesn't waste its time on things it's only a little better at. At the same time, countries A and B focus on the products where their opportunity cost is the lowest, and then they all trade what they have left over. And the result of this is actually incredible. When they specialize and trade, the total amount of stuff produced by all three countries is way greater than if they'd all just worked by themselves. Everyone gets access to more goods, which leads to a higher quality of life and faster economic growth for everybody involved. The whole economic pie gets bigger. So, after all that, what's the central lesson here? What's the main takeaway from the surprising logic of global trade? It's really this. It's not just about working harder or producing more volume. It's about working smarter. Efficiency, driven by this powerful principle of comparative advantage, is the true engine of our interconnected global economy. And you don't have to just take my word for it. As one source puts it, beneficial trade cannot occur without a deep understanding of these two concepts. Absolute and comparative advantage, they aren't just dry academic terms. They are the fundamental rules shaping our world every single day. And I'll just leave you with this final thought. This logic doesn't just apply to countries, it applies to you too. What is your personal comparative advantage? What are the things that you can do not just well, but most efficiently, with the lowest opportunity cost? Thinking about that, well, it might just change how you spend your time. Thanks.